noticed? I drink a lot of sodas when I'm gaming. Might as well drink something that's good for me. Head over to drinkolipop.com and order your favorite flavor.
Hello and welcome everybody to the UPL playoffs. Tonight we are continuing through our postseason and finally having a clash between the two leagues. UC Davis from the Phantom League, University of British Columbia coming out from the Vandal Division. To break down this momentous occasion is going to be, of course, myself, Los, and joining me on the desk is my old friend Jag. Jag, how are you doing tonight?
I am doing great. It's awesome to be back finally casting together. We haven't cast together in months. You and I, like you said, we are great friends, great pals. So here we are getting to work together as well. And well, we got another great thing, an amazing game tonight. It's going to be UC Davis versus University of British Columbia. And you know, neither of us have seen UBC. That's because they're new to the league. They weren't here in the summer or the spring before. 3-2 record, not too shabby. Able to get the third seed out of their conference. Only lost to Sigma and Converse when all is said and done. In Converse, I mean, they won last season, so not too shabby. But UC Davis, I'm shocked that we haven't seen them on stream yet. They were the champions back in spring. They had an undefeated run all the way up until playoffs last year when they dropped 0-2 to Converse. So I feel like UC Davis, they're going to be out for a revenge tour in this match.
Well, UC Davis has definitely shown their strength within the Phantom division. I believe going 4-1, a very strong contender for the chip this season. So, like you said, we don't have too much knowledge of what they're doing this season. We haven't seen them on stream yet, so I want to know what these guys are bringing to the table. But first, let us check out what maps we're going to be seeing these teams try and fight and battle it out on.
It's going to be Icebox, then Ascent, and then Haven to wrap it up. You know, I like seeing Ascent second personally. We always see Ascent. I feel like it's just a map that everyone loves to play. But seeing it second instead of it starting off the series, I really enjoy. So I'm glad about how this order ended up. It looks like it was UBC's pick. UC Davis went for Icebox first. The decider map will be Haven if we get to that point. Icebox, I feel like, is not very meta in terms of agent composition, so I'm very interested to see what UC Davis has up their sleeve.
Well, you know, it's all about that verticality. You're going to want to see multiple players try and get that angle. I believe Aoshin on the side of UBC is definitely a fan of that jet, so I'm assuming that we're going to see some plays out of that specific player to try and get that high angle, try and utilize that operator as quick as they can, do what they can to ensure that the air superiority belongs to the side of UBC.
Yeah, I feel like Jet is just the quintessential duelist no matter what map you're on. Sometimes you can swap her out. Like maybe you could go for a Raze here instead because Raze really is good on high ground. But other than that, I'd be expecting a Reyna. Reyna is really great on this map. Her layers are so good at close quarters or at long range, and that's both of the things that you find on Icebox depending on what point you're going to. But we don't usually see a controller like an Omen or an Aster. That's the biggest question mark I have right now. Are they capable of playing the Viper to a high degree? Will they try to force controllers that don't really work as well here?
Well, I don't think this is definitely a time to try and pick unorthodox picks, at least for what your team is used to. You know, this is crunch time. There is no double elimination here. If you lose here, you are out. That is it. However, if you do win, you are at least guaranteed a championship Sunday. At least. Is that right, Jack?
That is correct. If you lose here, there's no double bracket, there's no double elimination. It is over. Unfortunately, your season comes to an end. If you do make it to the semifinals, you're guaranteed to at least play in the 3rd/4th place matchup. But that's not what you're going for, is it, Los? You want to get all the way to that first place prize. You want to fight for that Grand Slam championship. And I mean, we already have 2 champions in our midst. Converse defending champions, UC Davis, only a season or go past that. So both of those teams, they will be going at it. And tonight we get to watch one of them fight for their chance to potentially make it there.
Of course, and this isn't the time for any slip-ups to happen, so I think it's going to be interesting to see if this newcomer, UBC, has what it takes to bring down the old guard of UC Davis. This is a strong squad. Can the young guns really take it to them? You know, I'm definitely excited to see what is going to happen on this one, because first off, Icebox is a great pick. Unfortunately, we're not having that Fracture pick, which is just, you know, ridiculous. If you're going into the playoffs, you gotta have Fracture just to throw off the enemies. At least that's what I'm thinking.
I don't think anyone's gonna pick Fracture any like year soon. It's so different, and I like what they're trying to do. Personally, I actually don't like Fracture as a map. It kind of throws me off as a player, but I do like that they're trying new things. When I first saw Haven, I was thinking that's weird. 3 points. What are they gonna think of next? And they think, oh well, why don't we just have spawns not be where you expect them to be whatsoever, and completely flip the geometry of the map? And it's a really cool idea. It's really fun to play on in general, even though I personally get lost in it quite a bit. But for teams that have been, getting ready all season, you don't want to take those risks where the map can play such a big factor into a game like this, into a series like this. So I have a feeling it's not going to be for a while until we see Fracture and like being picked in a map pool. But who knows? You can never say never. Maybe someone is going to pull a rabbit out of a hat here in the playoffs, and we do eventually see it come out.
Well, that would certainly make for some magical gameplay, or at least for us to view. Maybe not so much for the players. Going off of that, it has taken some time for Breeze to even make itself into respectable, like competitive play where teams are willing to extend their reach over into that map. And it's taken a long time. That map has been out for quite a few months. So I can't imagine that we will see Fracture anytime soon, or at least it will be on the edge, the very edge of the map pool, the deep end, if you will, that teams are trying to dive into. But right now, we're gonna dive right into Icebox. So we're about to see which squad is going to pick up a stronger composition, if that is even the case.
And one thing to note about this UC Davis squad, sure, we have not seen them all year on stream, but this is the exact same squad they rolled out with in the summer. So they have a lot of familiar faces, a lot of synergy. And I was asking about the Viper already. Both teams are hovering over it. And this could be a complete mirror matchup across the board.
I wouldn't be surprised, but you know that Alshin has to go for that Jet. It's an agent that they've been utilizing quite a bit throughout this league. And Hemmer, Hemmer has a pretty diverse pool, or at least a 3 agent deep pool, normally going on with the Astra or the Killjoy. But in this map, it's not too useful because they're a bit more constrained in terms of their viability and their abilities within a site.
Still waiting on Punchy to lock in that potential final pick. We're talking about UBC. We also got to talk about UC Davis. And I mean, their attention is going to be a lot on the Reyna and the Jet, those duelists. But I got to say, Various, one of the best Sovas I've ever seen in person, is a battle stage. I think in a lot of other games, support character would not be the one getting the most damage. I can think of another FPS game, where you pocket someone and would beam them. I think you know what I'm talking about. They don't do a lot of damage, but sages and those guys, they can put out a lot of firepower. You gotta be a bit more cautious with it. Really playing for your utility. I think walls here are more important than any other map in the game, potentially. It doesn't matter if it's attack or defense. I mean, the biggest play here as an attacker, just run to B, get the wall up, get the Viper wall up too, and then plant. It's like the easiest way to do something as an attacker, to get that spike planted.
You know what they say, Jag, double wall, win them all, but we're going to see if they actually decide to make their way over to B side. 2 players stacked kind of by the A lobby, so interested to see what they're deciding to go on. A couple armors bought on the side of UC Davis, probably looking to be a little more tanky in these initial engagements.
It's the firepower of the Ghost trying to go for that one tap versus a little bit more sustainability with the armor. We'll see what wins out as UBC. They only bought 1 piece of armor, and Yams already getting that first pick.
That's going to be a big one. They know they haven't taken any ground. Yams, that was a very good aggressive push, but C16 already onto B site. Got a little bit of damage over onto that enemy Viper. Now they're sliding up and somehow catching the solo off guard. Punchy goes down. And might we find a second? No, C16 will fall. It's going to be Mock there to pick up the trade. Nick all alone over by Belt.
Does have full health, does have the spike, so could try to maybe get a cheeky plan. Also gets the Ghost off of their companions, so full armor where you can get their best weapon really available besides the Sheriff. It's going to be very hard to 1v4 this, but if you're able to catch the Jet off guard, who is the weakest, that could be a huge momentum boost.
I think it's going to be all based off of his first contact with Reyna. It will be Nick to get that pick. But now they have the info. It's not like there's going to be anybody going on the flank. Do have Hemmer hanging out by the opposite wall. They're going to make their way over to yellow. Most likely Nick's plan at
30
this point
seconds
would
left.
be just to try and get that plant money down, but if they win this duel, this becomes a very winnable round. If they just hold on for a second, they're spotted. Now Hammer's gonna back off. It's gonna be all about dancing around this Viper wall if they decide to commit, but no, the call's been made. The teammates are there. It's 15 seconds left. It's gonna be a lot more difficult for Nick to make this play because they gotta go now, but it will be Hammer who stands above as UBC opens up with round 1.
I think we got their answer there. Was it better to have more firepower or to have more armor? Well, firepower there reigns supreme. UBC able to stay alive with 3 members. Not the cleanest of fist rounds, but enough to have a good buy here. Hammer gonna commit to getting a Phantom. That is... Oh, and Yams as well. So 2 assault rifles coming out the get-go in the second round. UC Davis Gold, they're going to have a very nice thrifty round here to get anything done against the superior firepower on the other side.
At this point, it's all about taking the weapons off of the hands of UBC, using those sheriffs to their best capability. Aushin, however, with that Marshall will find the first one over onto Nick. The blind is going to stop them from getting a second. However, they're going out for another swing. Find Smurfsicles and look and find a third on... Actually, just an assist onto Various because Yams with that Vandal will pick it up. C16 waiting around the corner. It's going to be punchy in a double peek, but he finds one!
Oh, I could have found a second one too, but just couldn't find that last shot to fill that jet. Very weak, but it's going to be Cam's. 3 kills with the wall bang at the very end. And I gotta say, Los, I'm not very surprised about that whatsoever, because that is it's a save coming out from UC Davis. There really isn't any much they could do. They got 1 sheriff online. I think beyond that, it was just all classics. I think the biggest thing is they still are able to get UBC down in members. They still have to spend here, and now they have this very interesting kind of Frankenstein buy. It's all over the place. UC Davis Gold, they can buy fully for the first time.
Well, this is going to be a very crucial round. You see that Punchy didn't have that capabilities to make a buy. Picking up, I believe, a sheriff last round to the detriment of the economy. It's the Yams moving up, seeing that Viper line, holding the line quite aggressively so. If anyone tries to move through that garage space, they will first have to deal with Yams, but the C16 dash right into Yams is going to be successful. Now Hammer's going to have to back off over by sight. Relay that info to their team.
See, Davis Gold finally has an advantage, but what can they do with it? They love to play on top of these cargo crates, but they have not really been able to find any push onto this point. They just kind of stall out here. Just wondering if there might be a flank from behind. No, there is not, as right now, UCD, they do have great mid control, but they cannot wait this out. The defenders, they have that liberty right now. They can just wait out the rest of the 50 seconds. The attackers, they have to make a move soon.
That's right, and it will be a move to the opposite site. As you can see, UC Davis is making their way back through spawn, but they will have to deal with the jet line. Aushin is holding it down. Hammer will find one over on the Smurfsicles as they try to make that rotation. Won't be too good, but Aushin has spotted them. They have the Spectre, so it's not a huge piece of weaponry. And it won't be enough at all as the friendly NPC moves along with the rest of UC Davis going for the swing. They're going to be taken down. And Hammer with 2, so they can't even get the spike down. Last 2 players holding it on site. C16 have to get through that wall. Breaks it down just in time, but doesn't have enough bullets. Hammer picking up a 4th one. This is ace potential.
Hammer laying down the hammer. Can they get that final kill before time expires? They've already won the round. Can they get anything more? Doesn't look so. His Nick's just gonna play safe, and oh man, I was thinking there that might have been UC Davis Gold's opportunity. That was their bonus round. I was really surprised the jet on the side of UBC fell. I thought, the Spectre doesn't have great range, but if you have the height advantage, you might be able to land in some surprise shots and at least trade out. They fell down. I think that was an oopsie daisy moment. I don't think they meant to drop, and yet still, it's just Hammer on the flank. I mean, you gotta, if you're Various there, you gotta stop planning. You gotta try to go for the follow-up, because you're just a sitting duck when you're going for that plant.
I know it was the wrong team that did that, but it would be an oopsie Davis mistake there. But
I like that. I like that.
Thank you. It was a 50-50 on whether or not that one was going to work out. But Yams not dealing in 50-50. They're dealing in absolutes. Picking up the first one over onto friendly NPC. Making this a 5v4 in a matter of seconds. And now we'll continue down as Punchy finding another. Things are looking very difficult for any sort of offense out of UC Davis.
Right here.
Yeah, and it should have been their last round. The bonus, I mean, they had just a better buy overall, and now they're finding themselves in possibly the worst round. Now C16 is able to take out the Sage, so that is at least one trade. Obviously, this might be flawless for UBC, but all of a sudden, you see Davis, they do have a way in. Again, still don't have the weaponry they want, but they do have a Blade Storm, and well, that's better than weapons sometimes, but Barry is going to fall.
Player standing.
Ooh, Yams finding one and a second down mid with Punchy. All up to Smartsicles, who does manage to utilize that sheriff quite well, but all they're going to be able to scrap out is 2 eliminations. Nothing very serious, nothing very impressive. It was a eco round, Jag, but you know, we're still looking for some sort of offensive potential here.
Yeah, and I think the thing is that it's impressive, though, that because it is an eco round, it is a save round, they're still able to find kills every round. Even though UBC has won all of them, they're still losing 2 or 3 members along the way. So this economy, it's not as stable as you think it is. Hammer is the only one who really is able to secure some loot in the bank because they haven't died yet, but they lose 1 round, and this lead could come crashing.
Ooh, Elshin forced back off using that Leer on the side of UC Davis. They have some access, but the Viper's Pit's going to be activated over onto A site, which will probably cause a total site denial unless UC Davis is trying to become insane and push into that.
Sometimes you gotta be a little insane in the membrane to get what you need done when you're down this much. You know the Viper's Pit's already been committed. You have the ultimate advantage as both of Embers and you also have... I was gonna say, maybe not, as I was worried Various might fall there. You still have Hunter's Fury as well, and you have a lead. So how do you play this? Gotta make sure you take out the Sage. You do. C16 now. To the tear.
Some great clears coming out from UC Davis. C16 finding 2 crucial kills to open up the site. And I want to point it back over to the Sova, who went for it was a fake check of a corner. But they managed to win that duel out regardless. So big ups to them. If it wasn't for that initial pick, we might not have even gotten to this plant scenario. So 2 players trying to go for this retake. Let's see how it pans out.
And correct me if I'm wrong here, but I think this actually is the first plant that they've had the entirety of this series for UC Davis. So finally able to get the spike down. Also have Hunter's Fury that could be used if to try to go for that DPS, but instead, Hammer, what? That was insane.
Oh my God, Hammer! Won't be able to do too much though. I don't believe that they'll have the opportunity to get this defusal, but they will walk away, taking plenty of rifles out of the hands of UC Davis. But UC Davis doesn't need the weapon. They got the win, at least for this round, and you only need one to get the ball rolling.
You know, it's really great when you get the clutch and it's like, well, all I did was stay alive. You got 1 kill in that round too, but mostly I just stayed alive and they couldn't defuse it. That's really all you need in this case. And this is what I was talking about before. I mean, the economy is stable enough for now for UBC to continue buying, but as you see, they're going to commit a lot of money onto that operator, so we'll have to see how that plays out. They lose this round though, and 3 of their players cannot buy. So this is where UC Davis can start turning it around. They also have the ultimate advantage, and I think the biggest thing is they have that resurrection ready to go. So they lose 1, no worries. They can just bring them back.
That was a interesting collab burst. I assumed that was going to be followed up with an updraft, but it wasn't the case. However, they're just getting a bit of a casual push coming over onto A side, but that dart along with the Hunter's Fury is going to hope to try and clear it out. Jumping up, the will actually be the friendly NPC clears it out for C16. The wall's going up. They're going to try and block off the enemy attackers. And still Mock is hanging out the backside. Yams going out for some support. Yams with the 3K. And now it is all up to Nick. He's trying to make it through Maze, and I don't know if that's going to be possible. Caught with that utility out. Punchy going for the swing and finds Nick. Ends that potential momentum coming out from UC Davis.
Yeah, that completely squanches anything there. And I didn't really mention it before, but it was kind of the same scenario. If UC Davis doesn't win that round, then they have nothing. UBC at least have had 1 or 2 people that could have bought. I'm sure they probably would have saved as a team, though, to make sure that they were all on the same page. But that round was a notorious win. They got, what, 3 ultimates out when all was said and done, including the resurrection. So UC Davis, not only do they not have an economy, they have no utility in terms of their ultimate abilities. UBC, they're looking to steamroll their way into the second half, could get that at least guaranteed tie for the side swap.
Well, that's going to be a very difficult attempt, but, you know, rounds can change in a matter of seconds. Probably not this one. It's going to be another attempt for Yams to just force themselves into the back line of UC Davis, but finally there is a response out from C16, finding a piece of their own. Might be able to do a little more damage now that they have a Phantom in their hand.
Might be able to, does the 2v1, but they cannot get past Punchy. And again, I mean, the best you can say for UC Davis is that they are still trading out very well. I mean, that's like a round where they only got classics. They get 3 kills. It's going to continue to whittle away at UBC's economy, but it's just too healthy for UBC to really feel the burn on that one. Everyone still can buy, and actually now it's in a pretty great spot. Only their Sage is below the threshold of potentially buying for next round. They win this one, they're guaranteed that lead.
There.
Still able to at least bring all rifles a little bit of lack of armor on a lot of the players, but I don't think this will be too bad. If they can make their way over onto site and utilize that Viper's Pit, that could be a good sign for UC Davis out here. But the play right now is making their way up into A site, just scouting it out, but UC has done a great job so far of concealing their positions and their identities. But it will be C16 who moves up. Now Shin, though, with the up is going to be okay in turning that into an even trade. However, look over at B site. We have 2 players going on the Lark. Friendly NPC with a huge frag. And that's going to be all they need to get that bomb down. The Viper's Pit going up. Spike goes down.
The Resurrection comes in on the other side, so Punchy brought back to life 4v4. You called it perfectly. You're waiting for them to go to B, use that Viper's Pit. It does come through now. But all things are even. Very aggressive approach, able to get 1, able to get away, turning into 2, though they cannot survive that. And all things are even once more.
Still is a little bit of damage on. No, but Smurfsicle's coming through from Orange and finding 1. Barry is going to help that situation a little bit more. Mock last one alive, and not a hope in hell for picking up this win, but maybe I spoke too soon. Finds 1, goes for the fake. But Varius doesn't buy it. Brings him down. It's going to be a second round out for UC Davis.
Denying that guaranteed lead is huge because there is a world where they could win the next 4 in a row and make it tied at halftime. One thing we know about Valorant is that it loves to be defensive sided. Most maps are such. Haven, I mean, that's debatable because of the 3 points, but Icebox in particular, attackers can circle, so I think really winning 2 more rounds would be very good for them going into halftime. You got to think about the future, about when the side swap happens, and then you get the side advantage. If you have enough in your vault already to help maintain a potential lead later on, it's huge. You just can't give up too much more.
Giving up things. They have just given up mid as Friendly NPC, as well as C16, forced their way over onto B site, and that is a clean take. At least maybe not. Yams hanging out in secret. Will find 1 onto C16. The spike does get planted, but Friendly NPC doesn't want that to last for too much longer. Pulls out the classic. That nerf may have come in handy inside of Mock.
Last player standing.
Jet not going to be able to do anything. Mock now going to try to wall off the spike. Immediately gets broken. Smurfsicles takes them down, and UC Davis might have a habit of falling behind early on, but boy, do they know how to catch up and bring it back where these economies sit. This really is UBC's last hurrah. Mock can't even buy fully. We'll have to see what they end up doing. Everyone else can for their team, though. See, Davis Gold, they win this, and they are completely back into this game.
Without a doubt, pulling up and getting that 4th round is going to be crucial to just for the morale at this point, for the closing that deficit of rounds against UBC, because, you know, maybe they're going to be able to give up a few in the next half. You want to have a bit of a buffer zone before it becomes really difficult and putting UBC even near match point. But right now we're heading up over into B long. C16 going crazy trying to make something happen, but that was just a little too wild, jumping out with the knife. Mock, first one to pick it up and stop the aggression coming out. Hammer now swinging out from yellow, finds not 1 but 2 headshots. They're looking to have a flank on the other side. Get that lurk onto A, but it will be no good. Sheen is waiting there. Friendly NPC as well as Smurfsicles are going to face their wrath that you cannot get a 2-pronged attack here.
So I was wondering what Mock would do. They ended up going with the Phantom, but they also got light armor, so you're a bit more vulnerable than the rest of the team. Still have that firepower, and they get it done. Seems like every time that UBC is pressured into a, well, we might lose our lead here situation, they immediately bounce back. They immediately get back to the swing of things. And there, they have their first flawless of the entire series. And that's really big because, sure, there's only 2 more rounds left before halftime, but it means that their economy will be stable enough to buy at least 1 more round, regardless of how this one goes.
And that's a testament to the fact that UBC has been holding, or at least UC Davis, has been doing a good job to make the rounds at least a little expensive on the side of UBC. This being their first flawless is a sign that they're starting to get stronger. And I mean, look at the strength that we're coming out with here. A lot of rifles dropping over for UC Davis. Finally, the friendly NPC unleashing the Empress finds one over onto Yams. The Reina counterpart taken down, and now a second one is going to follow. Just 2 players left on UBC, and the way that friendly NPC is starting to frag out, it might be possible that this is going to be a 4th round out for UCD.
And now they get the spike. However, they are running out of the Empress. It is a timed ultimate. It only resets if you get elimination, so they're going to be very vulnerable if they try to go for this plant here. However, CB, they are not getting to this just yet. Now they do, and oh no, that is not where you want to look, Punchy.
And there's that refresh. 1 more player, Alsheen, looking through orange, waiting for the peek, because from what we can imagine, friendly NPC might go for the fake and peek again. Or it's just going to be a straight-up peek. They don't see him around the corner. Left. They're actually going to opt for that push. Maybe the correct decision, I'm not sure. It will cause the peek. The fake is there, and Alsheen will win the gun battle. Oh, such an amazing clutch ripped away from the hands of friendly NPC. In the half.
I've talked to a few Reina players about Empress and the ultimate and what it can do, and really it just enhances her base kit. It doesn't do much more than that, but Reina has such a high ceiling that if you're already a great Reina player, you just become godly. In that scenario, almost able to 1v4, gets 3, but just cannot commit to that last duel. But I can't remember if they have any Lyras that were still there. If they did, though, they thrown that out. That might have been the difference maker. Instead, they just try to take the straight-up duel. Alsheen able to close it out, and UBC now extending this lead.
The strongest aggression play coming out from UC Davis. They're running straight up mid, and that's actually a interesting way for them to try and defend. UC Davis sending the Hunter's Fury into the back line at A, but they're not going to be able to fully secure off mid. Machine fighting for their lives, utilizing the blades, but it's not going to be enough. Running and gunning right to their face. Nick finds the kill. Now it's a 2v2. The bomb for the spike will be planted. Omami's just jumping right through along with Hammer.
There were some amazing individual players of the UBC that were just mind-boggling to me. First of all, how the heck did Yams get in the mid like that? They must have jumped up and just kind of ran back behind them or something. I'm not exactly sure how that happened, but they were all the way behind the attackers. And then they decide that, you know, hey, Mock, instead of going for the res, just go straight up onto where the spike is planted and hope someone's there. It works. I was thinking, man, you got a potential win condition is resing someone, having that numbers advantage, but instead they just take 2 1v1s at the same time. They win them both out. And now UBC is super close to taking this first map. They win this pistol rounds. They will only be 3 away. This is looking so good for the underdogs right now.
It's a bit of an issue that UC Davis is not able to establish control really anywhere, not even in an attempt to move up and take a site. Always there's somebody who's able to poke through their the defenses of their offense. Toxins going up. It's gonna be a first tag and moving over on to B site, but the question is actually if they're going to commit to that. Friendly NPC making things a little more interesting, finding that initial frag over on mid. Whoa, Punchy almost taking out the stage counterpart. Things are getting pretty interesting. Friendly NPC with another and make it a 3rd. But the bomb is moving its way over onto A site. One player there with the share. C16 with a nice one tap onto Mock, but Yams is making their way onto B. They have established control of that area, but Spike's on the other side, buddy.
It is, but everyone has taken at least a bit of damage. The Sylvan in particular very low, and they have 1 more Soul Orb ability they could capture. See, the overheal is currently there, but it's about to run out, so they will be without that extra 45 overheal. And you see how right now UC Davis Gold is playing this. They are just sticking close together. Seems like they're playing for warmth with how cold Icebox is, but really they just don't want to give up any leverage.
30 seconds left.
One kill can change the course of this round if they manage to pick it up and get the overheal. It actually a much easier game to try and become victor of this round. It's not looking likely a single leg or shot from that Sheriff coming out of C16. Puts so much damage onto the Yams that it's only going to take a simple classic one tap to put this round to rest. Finally, you see Davis finding some footing here on the second half.
Now they can breathe because they had lost the next 2 rounds. They probably would have had to. They probably had to force if they lost the pistol round. They probably would have had to force here to try to equal up because you do not want to fall too deep into a hole where it's only 2 rounds to lose and then the game is over. But there they did something that usually they haven't really done at all. They finally were able to control the point, and they really have not been able to do that at all. This time it was actually mid that they controlled more than anything. They just took control of it early. UBC kept trying to challenge them. They kept losing because they had to peek when UC Davis could just hold the angle.
Ahead.
Now we'll have to see how they can deal with this aggression because everyone on the side of UBC is running their way towards B.
This time they are not messing around. It's an all-out rush onto B site. UBC gonna send out that Viper Orb, hit the spike planted. They're actually going to back off. I don't know if a wall will be committed here, but Nick, in the heat of it, does manage to put some damage out onto Punchy, but it's gonna be Various who finishes him out. Smartsicle is an interesting play here. They're going to wall off the spike and go for that defusal. I don't know if they're actually going to be able to break the wall. The wall stays solid. Smartsicle gets the defusal, and you don't even need to have a site retake.
Now that is the end of that, and for those watching home, I do not believe that there's a Viper currently who has their Vipers, but that is unfortunately a technical glitch. So if you're wondering why don't they use their ultimate when they have it so early, that's why. They don't actually have it, unfortunately, for Hammer, as well as they've been doing. Yeah, as you see, 1 in 7 for their ultimate currently. I mean, that was just perfectly played. I thought the plant was very smart because when you're playing an eco rounds like that, there really isn't much you can do for a gunfight perspective, so why not just run in and try to get the plant, and then if you fall, you actually get more credits for dying anyway, going back to spawn. But UC Davis said, you know what, we'll do the exact same thing, except we'll just defuse it. Can't break the wall if you don't have anything better than a classic.
Yeah, there's nothing more frustrating than having to watch your spike get defused from the other side of a stage barrier, and that's exactly what UC Davis did. Probably gonna hurt the, at least temporarily, just get a little bit of frustration on the side of UBC, but this time they're making their presence not so obvious here on A, but with that pickup of the orb, it's going to alert everyone. Punchy hanging out on pipes, looking to see if anyone's going to rotate out from screens, but with that move, they're actually rotating out. If he commits that drone, it's still going to convey a bit of presence. So we can see that, I mean, it's Yams all the way in that back area by Orange, now below Kitchen. They have played their presence felt. They actually killed the friendly NPC in the same moment. Various does manage to come in for that trade.
Good positioning from the attackers. They also have the res. This is something they've been really good at. They've been getting the resurrection online so quickly. And that's probably why Mock popping off. But now only Nick is left standing against 4 members of UBC.
Nick with just the Sheriff and not a hope in hell of coming out of this round as a victor. Might just want to run in and play for some eliminations. If not, there is rifles on the ground for them to try and pick it up. But going in for that duel against Aoshin, they're going to fall and find themselves wanting for a little bit more. Aoshin does win it out, swapping from that Marshal into the Sheriff, and quick swap is going to be good enough for that frag.
Bonus round is what they expected to win this time. The bonus is given to the person or the team we expected to, but this is when UC Davis gets to answer back. This feels like the most important round of the series so far. UBC, they win this. UC Davis gold. They're going to have to go back to a save round, and that's going to put them on match loss points. It's super important for them. UBC, they lose this. They can chill for a little bit longer, but they also know they can't give up too much here.
Friendly NPC, who has done quite well in the past at being aggressive, but not this time. The naked op coming out of C16, not going to be good enough. Walking through that Viper line leaves him so vulnerable for Yams to pick it up. The spike goes down in a matter of seconds, and nobody is there is on site to try and prevent it. They're going to have to play for a retake.
This isn't like a full clear, though, for UBC. They get the spike thing and they get 2 eliminations, but right now, UC Davis, they are swarming like vultures. They actually have pretty good angles. We see that everyone from UBC, they have backed off. They aren't even on the spike right now. So they're playing for a bit of a retake of their own, despite the fact that they are the ones that planted it.
interesting maneuver from Yems is gonna be the first to fall. Smurfsicles moving with the rest of their squad to find that pick, but it is all they're going to find. And in fact, all they're going to look for is they will save those rifles and walk into the next round much poorer, but a little more well-equipped. They're in such a dangerous position right now to allow that one to slide, but probably a better one than dying for nothing.
It's an interesting choice. They're playing that very safely, and that kind of negates what I had said about it. Like, this pretty much puts the entire game in jeopardy for them, because they still can buy for the most part. As you see, they actually are going to still get an operator on C16. They get a Spectre Devarius who couldn't buy for themselves. And they have a lot of light armor, but overall, not in a terrible situation. So it makes sense because, like you said, you're much better well-equipped. You're not going into this completely strapped for cash. But it also makes this round now just so much more deadly. Next round, who could have competed for this? You lose this, it is all over unless you have the 50th round of a century.
Ooh, C16 with a good flick over onto Aoshin. That's what we were expecting out of that jet.
You will not
Finally,
kill
they're
my
able to
allies.
utilize it to the maximum potential, but maybe not. As Mach goes in for the resurrection, Yams now understands they have an opportunity to make this a very good and fast take if they decide to push it as well as they could. However, things have seemed to slow down a bit. They're not going to utilize or actualize that Empress on the side of UBC. Things are quite stagnant at the moment.
It was popped on the side of UC Davis Gold, and it might just expire. It's actually entering its last fourth of usage, so they might have just been waiting out the Empress, waiting for it to dissipate. Now that it's gone, that might be the go button, but they know they still have to clear C16 out. That's the biggest thing they have to do right now.
Ooh, and Yams goes in for the first encounter and succeeds in that. Various trying to send out those shock darts in hopes that the plant won't be good, but it is in fact good. Hammer hanging out in kitchen and somehow picks up Nick in what an interesting position to be holding when you're on the attack. Now C16 hoping they can find something with the up, but that duel won't go their way both times. That's how Shin and Yams clean it up and earn themselves a spot at match point.
Match point.
Wow. And we talked about the risk of trying to save in the round previously. Does not work out. Even with the operator, they have the angle to get the first kill, and then it's immediately negated by the resurrection from Mach. Then from there, they just wait out the Empress. It was so smart. They were so patient. Empress heightens the senses of the Reyna, and they said, you know what, we'll just take a normal Reyna, and then we'll pop our own Empress, and then we'll just run through the rest of the point. They did. And this is now everything that UC Davis Gold can force here. They do have a Blaze from C16. We'll just go for the shorty, but for the most part, it's only going to be Spectres against a full arsenal of Phantoms and Vandals.
At the very least, there aren't any ultimates that can be utilized on the side of UBC. However, I think a rifle is a little bit better. Aoshin just waiting for the friendly NPC because they know that player loves to make their way up mid, loves to get aggressive, especially down that central lane, but it's not going to happen this time. And what an unfortunate round for it to occur on. In the last possible moment, you're going to throw away one of your rifles and one of your strongest lives. This is going to be a much more difficult defense coming out of UC Davis than they previously expected.
They just got damage on a C16. It really has to be the carry in this scenario. They need that Blaze Storm to find work and reset. And remember, the alternate fire rifle did not reset anymore. And everyone is falling around them. Not even C16 can live. There's only the stage left.
Merciful finds one, but is actually going to be able to shoot out of the sky. Aoshin, but that is all they can do as the rifles finally converge onto the last player, UC Davis, and UBC earn themselves map 1 there on Icebox. Only one more map away from moving into the semi-finals. Jag, how are you feeling about this initial display coming out of UC Davis?
You know, it's surprising. I believe this was their map pick, so I expected that they probably had something up their sleeve that just turned out to be kind of the standard composition. It's not really meta because you don't see Viper a lot, but this is what's played here regularly. As we saw, it was mirrored on the side of both teams, and they just could never get their rhythm going. Even when they swapped a defense, it seems like any momentum they had from the other half was gone. They do get the first 2 rounds, they did get the pistol, and then the round after that, but unlike UBC, they could not take away that bonus round from their opponents. And from there, that very risky decision to save instead of trying to force a 3v4. You're thinking, well, maybe we have better weaponry that time. But you could have gone for a full buy on what was last round. And instead, you just have to fight with Spectres. So the decision making, it could have been big brain, it could have worked out. Unfortunately for them, they just could not get the plays there to back up their decision making. Now they find themselves in an 0-1 hole, and they lose one more map, they're out of playoffs.
Yeah, it's looking a little bit dangerous on the side of UC Davis, but conversely, let's talk about UBC. Some young guns coming in and really showing a former champ or a former strong contender who is actually strong in this matchup. But we will be able to see how strong this team is as we move further through this series. Don't go anywhere, folks. Map 2 will be up in just a few moments. And welcome back to UPL Valorant Quarterfinals. We've already seen one map with UBC coming in hot and winning 13-5, and now we potentially only have one more to go if they keep this up. Jag, how are you feeling about this series so far?
It is not what I expected whatsoever. I thought it would be a pretty close series overall. I thought that UC Davis would probably have a slight edge based on their experience and their roster staying together and having the better overall record. And I gotta say also, I thought looking at their conference, it was a bit stronger coming into that final week. They had a bunch of teams that were at 3-1, so it was very, very close going into the final stage of the regular season. But right now, there's not able to find the momentum they need. Again, that was their map pick. It seemed like they had the composition they wanted. And then I'm not sure what happened, but they just could not find the utility they needed. I think that they didn't find the usual progress utility they usually get out of their sentinels and their controllers. But it's a new day, it's a new map. You got to put that one behind you. Just got to say, it's a best of one. Every map from now on is a best of one. Let's just focus on the present. And Ascent, well, it might be UBC's pick, but really, it's everyone's playground.
Absolutely. And I think something that should be said about that first round about UC Davis is that we saw some great plays coming out of friendly NPC on the Reyna, C16 on the Jet. But when it came to those critical utility agents, we didn't really see too much coming out of the Viper, the Sage, or the Sova. We didn't see too much coming out from these players. And when you are just duelist, that isn't going to be enough. You need security and the support from your other teammates to assist the main fraggers. So that is what UBC absolutely had. And if they can maintain that posture, maintain that control of sight, or just any type of angles, I'm sure that they will be able to find some similar success here on Ascent.
I think what we need to see from more of a UCD is that they had that one play where they were able to just put the wall up and go for the defuse while the rest of the team just held angles to stop anyone from coming through. That's the kind of team play we need to see from them going forward. Otherwise, this series is going to be over. It seems like all the time they were just not in sync, not playing together, which I was a bit surprised about knowing how long this roster has been together. But some nights it just happens. Some nights you're just not in the swing of things immediately, but you can find your groove, get it back, and get it going. As looks like for the most part, we will have similar compositions. As One Punch really wasn't a lock in that KO, because honestly, I think KO very underrated on Ascent. I think his best map is Breeze, just because there's a lot more open roof areas, but you can hit that 0-point knife silence and find out information. It's just perfect. But no, it's going to be, once again, a mirror matchup across the board. So you cannot say top, or not top diff. I'm thinking of League of Legends. You can't say comp diff. All you can say here is mechanical diff.
Yeah, mechanics diff. Or, if you come to the penultimate conclusion of team diff, that's also a possibility. But let's not count our chickens or our BM before they hatch. Let's not count the scoreboard.
So much fun to count your BM before it hatches. I think the biggest thing is, you've got the same composition. Some teams like to go for a Cypher instead, which I don't think is the play. I think Killjoy is just better for a defensive agent because she's more versatile. She can be on attack and defense, where Cypher really is just more defensive sided. So I think a big question here is Smurf Skills versus Mach. Who's going to have the better Killjoy game? Who's going to use their alarm boss and their nanoswarms in better ways? Well, we might not get that answer right away, but as UBC starts their attack, we might see some plays off the get-go.
Well, if you could see from those pings, you know that they're looking toward mid to try and get that mid control, as well as an alternate angle out from Market. Initially going to send out that Owl drone to look and see who is mid, and at this point, nobody. It's been a bit of a ghost town. Both players on B site, hanging out on B site. C16, though, will be spotted out and takes a ton of damage now in the back of mid. Now they realize, well, there's nobody on site prop or on the switch or just the regular defenses of B. They have to push on. Hammer moving through, finds Smurfsicles, and now it's just Various hanging out in the back, finds one and looks to find a second, but Mach will be there to pick it up. Now last two players are way far away. UC Davis looking for an interesting style of retake, breaking through that wall with the knife, but they are very dug in, that being UBC.
I hate when teams try to play the back of Boathouse. I feel like it just it never works out. And I hate's a very strong word, but you can't play like that. You got to play for it, and that's exactly why. So you can trade out. Friendly NBC can't get the job done. It is going to be UBC. A pretty good attack round. I mean, you called it with the pings. They just try to play mid. They take control over Market. They push C16 out, and they also get them very weak. Then they take a two-pronged approach. They clear out that area. They push everyone back to the Boathouse. And Boathouse, sure, you do have natural cover, but you're just kind of a sitting duck, which is exactly why I don't like it. You got to play at least one up on the point. They can't do that. UBC now is going to be able to buy here.
Yeah, I have to agree with you about that boathouse. I am not a fan of it at all because of those reasons you stated. You know, you don't have any pivot position. If you're caught out, you are caught out, and you will be taken down eventually. Punchy is holding it down along with Mach. They were looking to try and get that force or that pistol rush onto their enemies and maybe pick up a SMG or two, but all they've done is pick up some deaths for their scoreboard. Not looking too good on that UC Davis rush. Oh, except for the friendly NPC does manage to find one on a nice one tap with that Sheriff. They know that Punchy's hanging out in the corner, and the suck is good, bringing Punchy out into the open. Friendly NPC to pick that up. Now they have the opportunity to get some rifles for this retake.
One enemy remaining.
In the meantime, Hammer does have a Vandal, finds one headshot. Can they find the second? Dance right now with Dragons, and that's gonna be the Dragon being taken down. Nip gonna lose the Astra duel to Hammer. And one thing I really want to talk about quickly that isn't necessarily revolving around the actions, but we're actually not seeing, which I wasn't really thinking about a ton until right now. There's no Sky on either side. We have not seen the Sky the entire series, which is very shocking because I feel like Sky has been one of the most must-pick characters on Xbox. Like, yeah, it kind of makes sense because Reyna sort of takes her position, but here, on a sense, like, that's really shocking to me.
What I'm imagining is that friendly NPC and Yams feel too comfortable on their Reyna to let that go, or they don't feel comfortable enough to bring out the stage. You know? It's either or, but interesting pick regardless. But at this point, it doesn't really... Oh, finally! Friendly NPC making that push even more profitable, but it's not going to be a similar story over for C16.
Oh, that's huge for Mach. Able to pick up a Vandal. So this firepower that should have been really in favor of UC Davis on their bonus round, it's actually kind of going the other way. It's pretty even for the most part. Trade's also even. And surprisingly, UBC really seemed to like this B site. A lot of teams really prefer A, but we have not seen them even try to approach it once.
Yeah, the most that they've even thought about going toward A was when friendly NPC just ran up and gunned someone down. Various with a good initial frag. Now they're gonna have to play their life because they are all alone. They've been revealed with the dart. Various does spot another one. The spray isn't going to be good as they're shooting through the wall, but the shock star does make contact. Mach, however, will win that fight with a good peek and a second one too. It's now all up to Smurfs
30 seconds left.
and Vic to try and bring this one back, but a lot of damage has already been placed onto the players of UBC. Could be a much more winnable scenario than
You
they
should
think.
run.
Well, I was going to say the lockdown. It's online so early, and why not use it? You're not really trying to lock anyone up. You're just trying to push them up and buy time. So the question is, do you see Davis, do they go in quick, or do they wait it out? It looks like they are going to wait it out. Because of that, they're going to lose so much time here trying to go for the retake.
And now, along with that recon dart, it's going to force Nick back even more. So if you get pinged by that, you could easily be wallbanged, and that's not a risk you are going to want to take.
Last
And I
player
believe at
standing.
this point, they were going to try and go for exit frags, but Mach is looking to get some of their own. Naked 2 with Al Sheen. That's a very clean escape coming out from UBC.
Twice now, UC Davis, they've had a choice. Do we go in aggressively, or do we just play patiently and wait it out? And patience can be a virtue sometimes, but other times you just gotta go in, you just gotta risk it for the biscuit. We saw it on Icebox, they decided to save, and really what was a situation that ended up ruining their economy going forward. This time, they just try to play far away, not get locked down by the lockup, or locked up by the lockdown, I should say, and it cost them. They play angles, and instead they're just caught kind of sitting with their pants down.
Destroyed. Placing swarm.
Finally might have a scenario where they do have a bit of an even distribution. You have two players over by A lobby. It'll be interesting to see if they actually make a commitment onto that one. I'm not sure if that will be the case. But they like to diversify themselves via Mach and they're so just hanging out, waiting in B main, and they're already finding value out of that. Oh, Hammer though. Won't be finding value out of that push. It will be traded out from Yams, and now we might have a good shorty play for C16. Oh!
Player standing.
And they do get one, but Punchy there for the immediate trade and secondary pickup frag of friendly NPC on the back line, hoping to find themselves a Vandal to maybe either walk out of here with a save or just try and go for a retake.
I was thinking the exact same thing. Pick up the Vandal and then just try to go in. We saw them that they've almost won before there on Icebox. Ended up losing, but you know what they have right now? One last person to deal with and a Lear that they can hit beautifully.
Oh, Mock though. Mock is having some great swings right now. Mock is going insane on this second map, Jack.
7-0-1. It was Hammer who was really putting down the work, but I feel like this is kind of attributed a bit to the agents they're playing and the playstyles that you have with them. Viper, you can be a bit more aggressive. The snake bite with the clouds, or the poison orb, I should say, not the cloud smith. That's Jet. But you know what I mean. Viper, more aggressive. When you play Sage, you have to play a little bit more back, but now Mock with this Killjoy is enabled by her ability. She can throw in the Nano Swarm, she can use the Alarm Bot to catching one out, trying to rotate. Hammer kind of the opposite, has to play back, play defensively, because they have to play the entirety of the map to trade down these Nebulas.
Just a bit of default action here, waiting for the Nebulas to dissipate. And this time UBC finally going to take it slow, but I am not sure what Punchy was looking at, but it certainly was the wrong thing. C16 just pick up one, setting out that cloud burst, and will be able to make an escape, but actually goes for a repeat to their detriment. Yams was hoping for just such a thing. Now that initial advantage that they had is slowly, actually no, quickly falling away. It's back at the side of UBC, hoping to shoot through that wall against the player by the switch being Nick. And Nick is going to take some damage, but I don't think they will if anyone is there. They don't, and Nick picks up two!
Spike down
Won't be
A.
enough. However, there is still Smurfsicles hanging out in heaven. This can be won, but it will not. Hammer, keep their eyes to the sky, finds that frag in heaven.
Ashwin having the guardian angel there of Hammer just watching over them, and for a split second there I was thinking, do they commit the Cosmic Divide here? Do they go for the play? And 2v1, it does seem winnable, but that would have cut off all sight lines for the defenders. It would have been perfect, but instead they just win that straight up, and UBC, I believe this is the exact same start they had in Icebox. I believe it was 5-0, and then UC Davis School was able to get a round back or two around this time, but we'll see if they can do it. They're going to take a timeout, and this is something that I agree with wholeheartedly. I think timeouts, tactical pauses are super important in a game like Valorant because it's really about momentum. I think pro players have talked about this a lot. Momentum can be the most important thing in a game like this, where economy is so important. So losing rounds over and over and again, it can help you actually win later on if you're in the right scenario to do so. As long as you find your footing before it's too late, you can bring it back.
Yeah, taking that time to just really rethink your strategy on the side. UC Davis has had some good moments, some strong plays where they have a great potential to win a round or come out on top in multiple gunfights, but they just can't seem to wrap their minds on the perfect strategy to actualize their wants to come out and win this one. And hopefully this timeout will be exactly what they need to finally get their heads in the game. Come out with a round victory, at least one here on Ascent.
You lose this, again, guaranteed draw going the way of UBC, then they could just extend into what could be a huge lead. And the biggest thing for UC Davis is they have to use ultimates early, and they are going to use one at least. It's going to be the Blade Storm.
Ooh, oh no! Just a matter of milliseconds. Yams and Hammer first take out two players, but there will finally be a trade to leave Nick. Those men get killed with the Sheriff, but things are just really falling apart over here for UCD.
That was a very, very quick round, and you know what the worst part about that is for UCD? It's not how quickly that ended, it's what they used during it. And I forgot, this was a save round. Like, they didn't have to commit that there. They could have potentially saved it for another rainy day later on, but they commit the Empress and the Blade Storm, and immediately both of them are just taken offline. Those ultimates do not get any value. They still have two. They have Hunter's Fury and a Cosmic Divide now up, but the lead and the ult economy for UBC, it continues to grow. So even though all weapons are even and C16 has an operator, UBC still has the utility advantage here.
Fun fact, that timeout lasted longer than the round it preceded. Well, 16, I am not sure what the plan was on that one. Getting way too aggressive with the operator. They do manage to pick up one, but at the cost of their own life and such a big investment with that op. You can only find one. It's not what you're hoping for, but I'm enjoying this new setup coming out of UCD because they're playing it back. They're not committed. What happens is that they were always getting picked off early on because they were so far up. Now that they're playing back, it's a little bit better for them.
think that was just an unlucky dash. They tried to go for the tailwind, and I think they unfortunately hit the wall. Went at an angle. That's not unlucky. Nick's able to take out Yams, and this is the first time that UCD has had an advantage, a player lead, in quite a while.
Sheen make it equal, but friendly NPC doesn't let that happen. Almost on death's door, they will get the overheal. However, Mock utilizing that operator,
One enemy remaining.
a newfound operator that was lent over to them by C16, does manage to pick up one, but friendly NPC, not so friendly anymore. Gonna have to take that one right back and take the first round. You see Davis.
Better late than ever, cutting into the economy of UBC. They do have quite a bit of credits to spend, but that economy will not last forever if rounds continue to be given up. Biggest thing for UBC, they lose it, but they don't use any ultimates, which is huge for them. They have 5 going into this now. They know that C16 is going to pull out that operator. Last time it might have been a bit of a surprise, but this time they'll be expecting it, and they know exactly what angles to be watching out for.
Now returning to the classic push over onto B that has worked for them so well. Mock using an early lockdown to just inform everybody, hey, B's gonna belong to us. Try and retake it, or try and stop us. C16 hanging right outside, hoping to make something happen with the operator, but actually, uh-oh, Mock's got themselves in a very bad situation, greatly damaged, hitting 44 HP of light or a return fire with the Hunter's Fury coming out of there. A lot of damage taken, and C16 finally finding a second shot with the op. Alshin's gonna go down, but more stars are being placed out by Hammer. Hopefully hold their position onto the site. Yams getting themselves control over mid, making it a little more interesting, a little more dangerous if they want to have a position over on mid. But Nick, not going to let them have that control for too long as they fire back. The spike will go down, however. Sight has managed to land control of UBC, but how long will it be for? The Cosmic Divide comes through, but there's actually a counter Cosmic Divide. Now we have Hammer trying to play it up quickly, but they know exactly where they're going to be at. And the double swing comes through. Hammer punching the last one alive, and not for too long. A C16 continues to make that operator work for them. UC Davis with the second round for themselves.
The Yams at Pop and Empress, what could have been. They had a great way onto the point through market. They had everyone looking their way. They had a soul orb on the ground as well already that they could have used to overheal, but instead they decided to save it. And that's not the only reason they ended up losing that round, but could have been. That's all I can think of in that scenario. I gotta say, I've never seen a Cosmic Divide used in unison kind of like that, just right on top of each other, but I've also never seen Hunter's Fury that were used back to back, where most of the damage that was done on either side was actually to their own teammates. Punchy, unfortunately, completely destroyed their own teammate Mock there, and that's why they were so low early on.
You know, I thought it was a lot of the defensive Killjoy's abilities there that really took him down, but, you know, C16, open it up, making sure that there's no shot. Killjoy, or Mock at least, won't be able to set up, get a proper setup with those utility. Now it's actually taken as they're looking to make their way over onto site, and they do in fact, but they're taking quite some time to destroy that turret. Position is all but alerted to UC Davis.
This is only the second time they've gone A. So this is not something that UC Davis has been used to defending, at least in this game, but I'm sure overall not too crazy. But you see what's happening right now. They're looking around tree. Hammer
already looting that position that was held by friendly NPC in the backline. C16 now being pulled in through that sub from Astra, and there's just so much potential here for them to try and make it happen. But Yams with the Empress gonna hold on with their dear life, but C16 with the operator will find that one. Now it's a 1v1. They don't have to hold it quite so tightly. With the blades pulled out, C16 looks to make a push, but they can't make it work. UBC going back with their 7th round.
Guaranteed a lead now. A lot of ultimates used on both sides, but they stand tall and still have a blade storm to their own name. What a route. That was really anyone's game. That was one of the, I think that was the closest run we've had so far, except for maybe 1 or 2 on Icebox. There UC Davis just weren't able to push in time, and committing the blade storm there, I get it, it's close range. It's a better opportunity than trying to go for a hip fire with the operator. Why not just back up and try to play a wrong range? At that point, you're in the better position on the point. C16 couldn't get it done for the team.
That is what we call lucky. C16. They're doing very well for themselves in terms of just individual performance, finding good frags. But I would say culminating into in major moments, it's hard for them to really pull things off triumphantly.
You can still be at the top of the scoreboard, the leaderboard for both teams, and you're losing the game just because you aren't getting what you need. It is, at the end of the day, mostly an objective-based game. You can win just by eliminating the team completely, but the end-all be-all will be that spike. If you're not playing that well enough, whether you're on attack or defense, it's not going to be good enough, and UBC have been good enough thus far. Pretty convincing lead. Can they get it to double digits before halftime? It's going to be very hard, as right now they're down 2 people. But 9-3 is what they finished with last time, and it ended up being something they could snowball early on in the end of Icebox.
At this point, the 9-3 curse doesn't seem to be true, but anything can happen here in Valorant. Also, Mach, known for their
30 seconds
deadly
left.
wide swing, well, not wide swings, but deadly swings out with the Killjoy. And this is such timing right now. Mach has effectively gotten onto site without anyone seeing it, spotted out Various. I don't know if Various noticed that they were there. Various still looking at B main.
No more
And Mach gets a free plant and a free frag.
10 seconds left. Spikes down.
2v3, but they have positioning now
Last
with
player
Killjoy.
standing.
And, oh, I was going to say, if this check could get through, that'd be huge, but no, it's a 1v3 now.
Mach sending out the Nano Swarm. Doesn't make too much of a difference as it's destroyed immediately. Friendly NPC making the swing out from Market, but it's going to be Smurfsicles who gets it done. Keeping themselves doing well in this half, at least comparatively to their previous map. Finally able to have some good, solid retakes out of UC Davis.
This is where they ended. They did not win another round before the side swap after what they have here, but now they're in a position where they can make it 7-5, which is the best case scenario while being down only 2 rounds. It's really nothing. If you're able to win the pistol round like you did after the side swap last time, you were all back to even, you were all level, and it's essentially just a first to the end. I'm trying to do the math in my head really quickly. I think it's 8 at that point? Anyway. Regardless of math, I'm bad at math, but it's very close, essentially. So you can keep this game completely in your hands. You just have to win these next 2 rounds.
Well, despite not tagging anyone with that dart, they will at least there the fact that sometimes they take the time to destroy it. So the door's gonna go down. Punchy, however, breaks it. Run the NPC, going for the swing. Perfect timing as Mach is checking in that cubby. Now they will know where the enemies are, but also keep in mind, we do have Hammer hanging out by A main and is very suspected of that blind player. C16 does manage to escape with their lives, and I don't think even any damage. But still, with this wide play that we have coming out from UBC, they can have any position or any site, anyone that they want, as long as they win their gunfights.
They're winning them here, there, everywhere. On the side of UC Davis Gold for now. UBC, they're struggling, and I want to do a correction there. I did the math really quickly. It is actually 6 rounds that you need after having 7, so I apologize. But right now, I think UBC, they're going to have to find some apologies of their own if they cannot get this done. It feels like they're just not hitting their shots. Like the last 2 or 3 rounds, I just noticed the misses they're having. Very uncharacteristic of what we've seen from them so far this series.
1 enemy remaining.
Finding one, and actually simultaneously, C16 and Friendly NPC finding some frags of their own, leaving Punchy all alone in a 1v3 scenario to try and hold it down. And contrary to what you'd think, they're not going to hold out in Boathouse because, as we've discussed, that's a terrible place to be.
Fortunately, so is White out in the open, trying to stare up onto a staircase. Even the littlest of high ground can have serious and major implications there. Not able to put the crosshair where it needed to be. That was going to be a very tricky fight to win because UC Davis, they decided to stack everyone on that same side. So they were going to all rush out, probably maybe trade out one before they were able to get the final kill. It's going to be very, very difficult for anything to be done there by UBC. Still have a guaranteed lead, but they have lost now 2 rounds in a row. 4 of the last 5 after having an incredible 6-0 start. We talked about the momentum. They are starting to lose it once more.
I think it's all about that good job that UC Davis has done in their retake game. playing much more passively, allowing themselves to go again and try and take the site back rather than holding it on for their lives and paying for it with their lives to no real benefit. Good shock dart. It's going to stop Aoshin from really having much of an impact here, but they're going to take all but 10 damage. Do manage to get over onto site. A nice little the Nebula, but now it's Yams pulling out the... Wait, no, it's Punchy with the 100's Fury. Sending it through. I don't know if they managed to get anyone, but there's a lot of damage over on to that Sova on the defense. But the NPC also taking some serious damage. Cosmic Divide will go down, but locations of multiple players are being revealed. It is just a cluster of abilities going down on this site. Hammer hanging out by the Cosmic Divide, picking up 2 and narrowly escaping that gravity well, picking up actually 2 more to earn themselves a 4K to close out that first pack.
There are just sometimes when you watch a fight unfold and you're thinking, what the heck just happened? Hammer again just pops off. This is what we saw from them early on Icebox. We haven't really seen a huge play like that in a while, but man, did it come at the perfect time. Getting a bit of a bigger lead after giving up a few rounds here and there at the end. Able to solidify that going into this halftime swap. The biggest thing was that I thought Punchy was going to do it again. And you pointed out, it was the Nano Storm that did a lot of damage before, but Punchy unfortunately also hit some of their own teammates that time. Just barely able to avoid disaster. And so many members were weak for UBC. That could have been very quickly UC Davis turning that around. The Cosmic Divide cut off UC Davis. They just were not willing to commit onto it. Again, sometimes their passive plays do work out, but generally it has been costing them this series.
Ooh, Aoshin with a nice one-tap and tailwind away to keep themselves alive and preserve themselves. C16 and Nick, however, aren't going to allow them to escape with too much. One player, that being Mock, hanging out in the boathouse with the shorty. Nick going pretty crazy with that ghost, picking up 3. And I'm pretty sure everyone on UC Davis knows that Mock is in there, and they're just waiting. What?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know either. Can Mock get more? 45 health, not going to be a lot to work with, but there is the Killjoy on their side, who is very weak as well as Smurfsicles. Fortunately, it looks like this angle that worked out pretty well as Mock not going to be aware. Nick able to find the kill. Gets 4. Holy, I did not realize that Aster put in that much work. UC Davis, again, able to take the second pistol round of this series. Or of this game, I guess.
Man, I can't believe Mock pulled that one off. That's...
I should play some Astral Stars in this reality.
That's nuts. We're going to get away with it 2 times, though, as I believe it was Nick going with that good angle. Not going to allow anyone to do that again.
Rise and bring
Gonna be another round for UC Davis. Potentially, probably, because they were able to buy. Like, this is where the 5-7 square that would have been really great for them, because then they would be all tied up. They'll still be a disadvantage of 2, but at least they're making their way back into this.
Friendly NPC checking all those angles, making sure nobody's gonna have a sneaky play down and wide. Now they're slowly waiting for their descent over onto A side of Ascent. Punchy setting out that scouting arrow. Doesn't make any good. His friendly NPC is the first one to open things up. They're going to send down the wall or the door, but it's going to be promptly destroyed. Now it's going to be followed up by an attempted leer through the wall, or maybe it's just a preventative measure to make sure nobody comes through. But friendly NPC, watch out, because they're coming through, picking up 2 more over by Tree. Now it's going to be a very cautious move for Punchy, as well as Yam, to somehow try and salvage a few frags, or maybe even a retake.
Could be the ace. We haven't seen it thus far. Yam's now found out. They know exactly where Punchy is too, and
One enemy remaining.
high note needs only 1 more. No, it's Heavy Stars was taking it away from them, but it's a flawless round. I believe the first one we've seen from UC Davis in the entirety of the series. But now they got to deal with the bonus round that UBC will have. UBC can have the better weapons.
That is right. I mean, you've seen the position of UC Davis work well in taking weapons away from the side of a University of British Columbia, but when it comes to them having superior firepower, it's hard for UCD to actually come out of top.
Absolutely. Well, let's see how things go down. So you can still do work with a Spectre. I mean, you can do a lot of work with a Spectre, especially at close range. Am's gonna be leered up. You have to just blindly fire, and they cannot win that one out.
There.
No, C16 starting this assault and doing it quite well. Friendly NPC hoping to get some damage, but it's going to be C16 who finishes them up. Punchy, hanging out head, and C16 with a third. And now, in the blink of an eye, who we really thought had the advantage in this round, they've lost it all. It's just up to Austin with a Vandal and a Dream, but not a hope in hell as they make their death in heaven. UC Davis is coming back, Jag.
They are, and oh, that just fell apart so easily for UBC, playing way too aggressively there on the defensive AMs. It's caught off guard. Like I said, didn't have a hope whatsoever. No one really did. They did not take their foot off the gas pedal for just a moment. And even though they didn't get the 5-7 lead, they will have an 8-8 tie. Only 5 rounds will be the deciding factor between these two teams if one is able to get them all in a row. UBC, they are completely off the momentum train, and they gotta find a way back on.
Revealing.
You know, we're seeing a lot of A hits. Something that UBC had never really done before.
Yeah, they just kept going to B. I was shocked. B is barely hit because it's just not a great place for attackers to go through.
Ooh. Oh no. Punchy. Just wondering if anyone's actually there, goes in for the peek, but met with harsh opposition. Friendly NPC continues that onslaught. Might be pushing through, but won't be a full commitment trying to push through that door. But wait a minute. Wait, what? Hammer with, I believe, a wallbang headshot with the Sheriff. Somehow takes out a player from UC Davis, but I don't think it'll be able to culminate into too much.
Nah, it's just Yams now trying to find something at the end of this round. Do have a Sheriff in hand, but it's against 4 people, and really, you missed your first shot, and it's done, but you're able to hit... Whoa. Oh, okay. That was just nasty. What?
Just 2 wallbang headshots, and another headshot! Another one-tap out of Yams, but won't be able to salvage anything out of this one as, I'm actually going to take out Nick as well. Last player surviving and be able to bring their weapon over, just Smurf Skulls. But it doesn't even matter too much about the economy because they are busting with money.
They are. Everyone can buy here, and it looks like Various, who had the lowest amount of credits, is going to get bought out by their team. So everyone going to be able to stabilize. This is UC Davis's moment right here. Every time they've had a chance to get, like, the lead, it's just completely fallen out of their hands. They really need friendly NPC and C16 to continue to step up. They win this, they will have their lead for the first time on any map for the series.
Now you got to imagine UBC is going to be messing around. They're not going to allow themselves to be taken out quite easily. Yams finds the player stuck in the gravity well. Not with the first one, Hammer coming out with the second one, and now C16 taking serious damage, will be spotted out. Hammer puts him down again. Yams looking to get even more aggressive. Might find another one in the Nebula. It is Various. Smurfsicles, the last one alive, coming through tiles. Yams going in for the kill, and they do get it indeed. 3K for Yams, 2 for Hammer. Now UBC back on top. It's such a dire situation.
Every time you think that this is the moment for UCD, they just cannot clutch out. They cannot find that final spark they need to get over the hump of either being at a disadvantage lead-wise or being in a draw. And this is another situation. They tried to play aggressive, great gravity well that comes out, and it really thinks you get caught up in that. But even after they try to go aggressive onto the point, they get split up. They leave one behind in alley, and everyone ends up falling. And what's not really a team fight, just separate 1v1s that they're losing. So they're going to take another timeout here like they did attempt to on Icebox, regroup and regain, because they're not out of this yet. They've definitely brought it back. They just need to get that final little bit of a push to get into the lead. Fortunately, it's going to take at least 2 more rounds for it to happen if it does for them.
That's right, you know, and UBC just saved themselves from a terrible scenario, almost being on the brink of brokenness, if you will. It's a real term. They saved themselves from serious trouble. If UC Davis was able to take that last round, they would have had at least the major benefit in the next 2. But now that isn't the case, UBC has found themselves with another round, a little bit of cushioning to go in and keep themselves in this game. And now we're having another A hit potentially, as we can see the spike is being dropped by A Lobby. Are they going to commit to this? Not too sure.
Economies are going to be so important going forward. Maybe that operator's in a miss. They spent a lot of credits on that. But we saw UC Davis gold. They had a huge credits lead. They had a huge mountain that they had saved up, and now it's all gone.
Ooh, uh-oh. The leader is going to blind off Alshine, but Alshine is somehow able to survive that with the help of Mop. And Yams and Punchy on the other side of the map are able to get some work done, turn that into something feasible but friendly NPC, taking out that operator, turning this into a 3v3.
We've seen this a few times. They just play that way too aggressive on the side of UBC. They leave someone here on catwalk, and they immediately just go for the exact same Lear play. Every time in UC Davis, they execute it really well. Various now has an option to pick up the operator. Doubt they will. This is very interesting right now how UBC is trying to control the map. They have left one person on each point, mid, A, and B. They're going to know that there's at least one person lurking around A in tree with the fact that they went for that turret.
30 seconds
Beyond
left.
that, they're just playing very patiently for the side of the defense.
Hemmer hanging out in pizza, waiting for Various or Smurfsicles, ooh, to try and push up. That's going to be a bad scenario. Maybe bomb or spike going down over onto generator. It's going to be an interesting stuff for a retake right now. We have 4 ultimates in total at the ready. I don't know if any is going to be utilized, but yes, it will. Hemmer stuck in that Hunter's Fury, and now it's directed back over to Doors, and they will find it. Hams has been spotted out. They're going to pop out the Empress. Hopefully they can get something to keep themselves healed, keep themselves healthy in this fight, but they got to make a commitment. They got to go right now if they want to somehow get this defusal. Now, slow down. The play has been slowed down, but not anymore. The friendly NPC, they're just going to play ring around the rosy, but they win it out. Yams can't get it done in such a dire moment, even committing the Empress to no avail.
I've never seen someone go for Thunder's Fury at that angle before. From hell onto heaven. It was genius. It was brilliant. And then hitting the 360, just turning around with Thunder's Fury and hitting them out of tree, that's what really shut that down. If that had not happened, I think AMs could have possibly taken that all the way. Especially if they had popped the Empress a bit earlier. Because of that, they were slowed, and they were trying to play ring around those, like you said. They just couldn't find their footing, and then they were walking around all shooting, and that is like the Cardinals in Valorant. You cannot walk and shoot at the same time.
A little bit of popper activity going over at the side of UBC. We do have Yams, that Star Reyna, hanging out with the Stinger in B main, and it's not much they're going to be able to utilize with that, especially if UC Davis doesn't manage to push. So they're going for a much more slow play right now.
UBC really lost a lot in that last round. Not only did they lose, their lead once more, it's tied up, but ultimate advantage gone. They're actually at a disadvantage, not even tied out, and their weapons not very good. I saw quite a few Stingers on their side, so they're gonna have to win out in a thrifty fashion. We've only seen 150 round, and it was the bonus round back in Icebox.
Yeah, there's just no real commitment here. They are waiting it out, and he's trying to make UBC sweat a little bit. Think about what the play is going to be. The Cosmic Divide will go down over on the B side, but Alshin is the first one to take out an enemy, and now more of a bomb. Punchy finds the second. Cam goes in and picks up more. Punchy out from mid also gets themselves a frag. And just like that, UBC is back on top. It is just a back and forth game here between UBC and UCD.
And this is the first time that UCD cannot buy fully. We'll have to see how they decide to play this one out. But Smurfsicles and C16 just don't have enough credits to even go for a light buy with light armor and a heavy assault rifle. So there's no blaze storm either for C16, so they cannot commit to the ultimate. UBC, they will have to commit for one Marshall, but everyone else looking pretty healthy in their economy is in a better scenario. How do they do it? Every time it feels like they're finally going to give up the lead, they just claw back and take it once more.
The resilience coming out of University of British Columbia. That was no bounce. While they may be able to falter for one moment, they won't continue to do so. Mock finding the first one with the C16, who dashes over, trying to hit that switch, but it will be finally picked up by friendly NPC. Aoshin looking down mid. Actually looks to go for this Marshall battle. Gets the first tag and forces Nick to back off a little bit, but Nick gets the headshot. But over onto the side, it's going to be Hammer picking up not one, but two. The spike has gone down. But it should be an interesting retake. Barry's with the Sheriff. Kill won't be able to get a second, though, as the distance is just too great. Punchy coming out from heaven. Won't be able to find that kill. And now, this is way more doable out for UC Davis. One player's high behind Generator, but the NPC finds one, and friendly NPC finds a second to ensure that equalizer.
I don't even know what's going on anymore. I really don't. The rounds that should be won are not being won by those teams. They trade thrifty rounds, they use an Empress, they win with basically just a shorty. Various, oh, that was crazy, just holding the shorty at close range, and UBC, for the first time really, I believe, all series, just kind of I haven't seen them misplay something like that in quite a while. Instead of playing aggressively, knowing that the shorty has only 2 shots per clip, they just wait for the reload to come through.
Target destroyed.
Such an insane scenario for both teams to find themselves in. Last time that we saw UC Davis trying to push their way over on the B side, it wasn't so pretty. It actually involved a double spray down, but they're going for that concussion. He's not going to come through, but Aoshin does manage to fall. C16 picking up 2, and now this is a much more favorable scenario. UC Davis at least trying to push up into B from the NPC, moving up mid, and now it's just 2 more players left to take down UC Davis. And through the smoke, C16 finds one, dashing on sight. It's only going to be one more. The wall bang is good. Hammer goes down. Hammer has fallen. UC Davis has risen. 1 round over UBC.
Finally, they take the lead. Better late than never, especially the stage like this. They win the next rounds, and at least they'll be going to overtime if things end up going badly the rest of this series. But they should win this. UBC, last time they were able to buy Singers, this time they can buy nothing, nada. And they thought they could go for that aggressive play on B Garage as they have a few times. But instead, when they raced away, Yams could not get too far. C16 and the friendly NPC, especially the friendly NPC, have really come to life here. In the Icebox, they just weren't able to get the same kind of value.
No, definitely not. We have Yams out, the Sheriff getting real. Look how close they are in this initial setup, and actually, it will pay off for them. Hammer's the first one to fall from the NPC, does take a tag or 2, and they are going to back off and try and reconnect with the rest of the squad over onto a site, which they have effectively pushed onto, but not ensured full control. C16 getting a bit aggressive over onto Heaven. This could be a critical error. Mike hasn't gone down yet. Yes, and it will be. Punchy earns that 1 tap onto C16's dome with their Sheriff on the NPC, hoping to bait out an initial shot onto the players in 3, but they're not going to find anything. The timing is so off. The timing is so wrong. The Cosmic Divide blocks off Nick, and now Muck and crew earn that equalizer once again. 11-11 here on round 152. I've done the math.
For nothing.
I'm glad one of us can count, because I sure can't, based on what we saw me try to do earlier. And I really hope Hyper can see us, our producer, or specifically can see me, because I'm sure my facial reactions right now are hilarious. I'm just like, how? Why? Alright, there's a little camera, so we'll see that. You can see them now if we get another draft. That's the 3rd 50 round in a row now. That's crazy to me, especially at the end of this game.
Right here.
UCD can finally get a lead, and immediately it is gone. It's back to a tie game, but it is going to be an equal buy. I thought that would be a potential penultimate round coming in here, but instead, they're just both fighting to get to 12.
You know, sidebar, I'm glad that little minicam wasn't brought up before, because, you know, don't want to get caught picking my nose, and no player right now wants to get caught with their pants down, and that's why they're going to send out those smokes to ensure a safe passage out through mid. Another laid back play out by UBC. They're going to run all the way back. They don't even want to get caught by the Sova drone. They want to create the illusion that nobody is even on this site, but they have Killjoy hanging out. Will be mocked. waiting in garden just for someone to
You
give them
should
the
run.
opportunity. They wish somebody would do it. And Mock has to run away. They're going to get hit with, I believe, the alarm bot. And now they're in a pretty bad situation. It will force them to give up this site and actually cause Punchy to get hit with that detain effect. And I don't think anyone's going to be baited out by that one to actually push them into it, but it will be enough to just allow them to get that spike down.
Spike planted.
There goes True. It's a little bit too wide though, so friendly NPC did not hit their target, but Farius on this flank. BQG today isn't caught out. Punchy's getting one, but it's still going the way of UBC.
Friendly NPC finds one out on Garden, finds a second and a third, but no, Yams will put that to rest. It's all up to C16 to stop it from getting to match point, but match point it will be for UBC. One more round separates them from the semifinals.
Match point.
If you looked at these two maps, you'd think they're from separate games, because one of them very one-sided for the most part. This one down to the wire. And UC Davis, they're very happy about the fact that they've been able to come back, because they still have at least enough to contest this, I would say. It's not the best spy in the world having to go for a Guardian and a Spectre, but it's enough to put up a good effort, especially considering the fact that you have 3 ultimates on your side. That could get you over the hump, that could get you to a tie scenario, and that could get you to overtime. But Yams with this Odin, this is usually a play you see from the Sova because they have more recon, but this could go wild if they time it right.
I think they're waiting for that first contact out from Al Sheen. Just to alert somebody is there. Wait a minute. With that recognition of an owl drone might be huge. Oh, they do! They find it on Devarius. Yams opens it up, and that is such an annoying first blood to occur.
So what they did there too, they bought the Odin and had the Vandal, so they just left the Vandal right there as the pickup. C16 though, put the one tap with the Guardian, equalizes things once more, but that Hunter's Fury for UC Davis Gold, it's gone. So now they only have 2 ultimates here to work with.
Oh, Mock is just waiting. That Lear is gonna alert the presence. The swing from Mock, and it's not good. C16 finds the second of the round, but it does cause him a lot of pain, a lot of damage. That hammer can actualize a little bit of extra pain, bringing them down. Mercicles gets the spike planted. Now we have the Empress popped. Is it going to be able to find anything? No! The worst timing for the reload. Jumping down, it's Yams picking up the orb to get that dismiss in a great moment, but it won't be enough. A bad positioning and an even better shot from Nick allows them to push their way to overtime. UC Davis isn't out of this game just yet.
No, they are not. They are just continuing to stay in, stay alive. And UVC, they're probably thinking, how did we let that happen? How did we let that go? Well, it's time to let those thoughts go, because now it only matters about this. Overtime rules, you gotta win 2 in a row to the point where you have a score differential of +2, so 14-12, 16-14. Doesn't matter how it ends up, all you gotta do is get those 2 rounds in a row with that differential. Every time, economy's gonna reset, because it's economy, we talk about it so much, I talk about it to death, does not matter anymore. It really comes down to that mechanical prowess and those team plays that we had mentioned before. It's gonna be that team diff coming into action.
It's all about the team diff. That is correct, Jag. Now, what will this originally aggressive team, the great attackers and defenders, do? Not too much in the beginning. Friendly NPC holds it down along with Sova. They're keeping themselves in this one quite nicely. Only to trade out 1 player on the side of UC Davis.
Yeah, and their Killjoy is so weak. Mock gonna be in a world of hurt. They get even like seized on it, and they're gonna fall and they trade this one out. No! Oh, they stopped firing. They thought they'd already gotten the kill secured. Oh no, that is a huge misplay. Now it's a 1 or 2v4.
Standing ahead.
Punchy setting out the recon. There is no player on site proper, but you gotta be careful of Market as well as CT. Forcing them back. Mock, however, will be the first one to fall, despite popping a nanoswarm that's gonna be taken out by Smurfsicles. This is just not a good scenario for UBC. It seems they've lost all momentum. That attacking round was just not what we were expecting to see from that squad.
No, they tried to play default in mid, but instead they just completely split themselves apart. They had really no way to try to trade out. And now they are facing a potential map loss here, an extension of the series, which they probably didn't think they would have after having an 8-4 halftime lead, but here we are. Do or die now for them. It's really do or die for UC Davis. They win this, they are moving on to at least another map in this series. Their tournament life is not over yet.
Well, let's see if their attack is as good as their defense. We have one player, might be Yams, playing very close to the edge of that nebula, hoping to catch somebody off guard, moving up through Cat, but nobody is spotted just yet. Keep in mind, we do have Smurfsicle right on the other side of mid. Leader's going to be destroyed. It will be alerted. Gravity Well does pull Hammer in a bit, but no ground is, well, I mean, ground is gained, but no players' bodies are lost in the process. Just hanging back, waiting for that retake, waiting for the potential plays. The friendly NPC catches out Yams on mid. And that careful cautiousness brought them rewards as well. C16 pushed up in a great corner, tucked away, finds Mock, trying to get too aggressive on the defensive. Now they're working well. Alsheen, however, spraying through the smoke, takes down Nick, the hero player of 2 rounds ago. Hammer mostly holding on to mid, finds one, but there's there to trade it out. And now it's all up. One last player, Alsheen, last alive, coming through
30 seconds
CT
left
to hopefully keep themselves in this game and bring it to double OT.
Spike planted.
I don't know what's happening. They're falling apart now. It's a 1v3. Very hard to win because there was a heal up and it's done. There's nothing that can be said there. C16 brings it home, and UC Davis in overtime is able to force a third map. It feels like we're watching 2 different series right now, honestly. One that was extremely close in the first map that was just blown out of the park early on. This time, UC Davis, I think they're seeing, what is currently at stake, realizing how far they had almost fallen to the point where they could have been 0-2'd out of playoffs, just like how they had lost in the finals last year, 0-2 to a team that they didn't expect to, be beaten by. But now they're going to have to force themselves back into this. They have, and they're going to be playing it out on Haven.
There certainly has been a great improvement from the UC Davis we saw on Icebox, and now going into overtime, they've found a victory, and it only takes one more for them to continue their path down into the postseason tournament, and hopefully for them, they can keep that fire going out onto our third map, which we will find out in just a few moments. Don't go anywhere, folks. The action continues right here. And here we are. It's all culminated to this. 2 maps up, 1 more to go. UCB, UCD, both have proven themselves to be incredibly competent squads, and now, finally, we have reached the decider of Haven. Jag, have you expected this series to even get to this point? Did you expect to go to map 3?
Originally, I would have said yes before the first map started. Then after the first map, I said no. UCB, they've got the momentum. They seem to be playing just at a higher level currently. I think they got it in the bag. And I kept saying UCD, they just didn't have that clutch factor. They were not able to take the lead until the very end. They've only had the lead twice in this series, and both of them have been only 1-2 round differentials. It doesn't matter how many rounds you win by. When you're able to win in the fashion you did, you win in overtime, you win 2 rounds in a row to sweep it, and now you have forced Haven. So all of my money right now is on them. They have the momentum. They have things going their way. The question is, how does UCB answer back? They have not had to play down for long or at all. And it seems like when things were evened up, they kind of lost their way a bit. So they're really going to have to find a way back into the swing of things. I think the biggest thing so far is that it's just been a mirror matchup across the board. And you can't see what your opponents are choosing, so you have no idea what that is until the agent lock is complete. This might be a time to pull something crazy out of the chamber coming into Haven. I expect Arena Jet set up again. We haven't seen a Sky yet this series, so maybe this is the time to pull something out like that, because we have seen that those flashes, those layers in particular, have been game-changing.
No KOs yet. I mean, there was that hover back on Ascent, but
There was
I'm
the
not too
hover.
sure if KO is very, like, the most viable here on Haven, but, you know,
I don't think
I'd
so.
love to see it. I'd love to see it, man, and I know you would as well. Come on, we're hoping for some whack. I'm not gonna say it's a wacky pick, but we're hoping for a good unorthodox pick.
Well, the breach, that would be a wacky unorthodox pick. So with the Yoru, but they just like to have fun on the side of UC Davis. I don't think we'll be seeing that come in. Be very shocked if we did see a Yoru. Nick going to be locking in the first choice for their side. I saw potential hover for a Sky for just a moment, but looks like it's not going to be so. We see Cypher is potentially coming through. This is interesting because, as I briefly mentioned before on Ascent, Cypher not great there because he's not very versatile when it comes to swapping sides. Here, though, Surgicals could completely lock down a point on their own. It's just the way that this map is designed, especially A and C, very easy for Cypher just to put down a few tripwires and the spy cam and immediately just get everyone away from that point, if not defeat them in combat. We'll have to see if this becomes, again, a complete mirror matchup across the board, but Losai, I have a feeling it might be looking at what the hovers are right now on the other side.
Choose
Well,
your
I mean,
agent.
they're just really strong agents that we're seeing, you know. It all depends on what is Smurfsicles and Mock. What are they going to play? What agents are they going to do? Because it's already confirmed, you know, they're very comfortable in terms of Nick, C16 Various, and NPC, as well as their counterparts on the same agents. They know what they like, they know what they play, and they're pretty rigid in terms of what their agent pool is. Especially to consider what map this is. We only saw a difference between Hemmer and Nick when we were back over on Icebox. Other than that, it seems that they're very, very rigid in what they want to play. The only people who actually are allowed flexibility or allowed change are the Sentinels.
That has been essentially the only change, minus you did see that before controllers swapped from Viper to Astra, but they have been on that role now, or on that agent for 2 maps in a row, so not many changes. Again, just mechanical or team def. Can't out-composition them because it's the exact same thing that's being run on the other side. And that makes me think either both of these teams just have, you know, very similar coaching styles or very similar coaches, or they're just scrimming the exact same people thinking, hey, this works. Who knows? But it is exciting to kind of see the similarities in the agent selection and then see the differences in the play styles that come out from them.
You know, maybe it's that West Coast lifestyle. You know, they're all scrimming the same West Coast folks. And that's the West Coast meta.
Good concealment.
Could be. It is California versus British Columbia. So it's a little battle of Canada and United States and Yams. Gonna win it for Canada. I was gonna say the national anthem for them, but I'm American and I don't remember what the Canadian national anthem is. So for now, we'll just let that one kill go through.
I know what it is, but I refuse to allow that.
It's like, oh, Canada, something like that, right? Yeah.
Yeah, that's all I'm gonna allow myself to get on here. You know, NA, or actually, that is NA, but, you know, whatever. USA first, then NA. Well, right now it's Nick hoping to have something happen, but maybe I just cast or cursed the entire country. As Punchy takes him down, and now they have full site control. Smurfskulls is hanging out, though, over in Garage. There's a attempted, just a hope from Various out from CT. Poking out with the Ghost. Smurfskulls actually going quite nicely with that classic. Smurfskulls continues the onslaught, but the job isn't done yet. You have 3 more to take down.
Oh, peeking around the corner. It's the Ghost. Can't get it done, though.
Not much else there. Aoshin gonna lock it down. It was a valiant effort coming out from Smurfskulls. 2 nice classic headshots, but if you're looking to get 5, that's a tall order. Now it will allow UBC to afford some solid rifles. Just a tease of the Bulldog, I think.
I'd love to see the Bulldog come out. It doesn't come out enough, and I honestly think it's a better option than the Guardian, because sure, you can maybe hit the 1-tap with the Guardian, but Bulldog, when it's hip fire, is auto, and I actually think the burst fire on it has some great potential. But I gotta ask, and I don't know if you'll know this. So you know how we chant USA? Do you think they just chant CAN? C-A-N? Can.
I think they probably do this the same symbol, like Canada, Canada, USA.
That makes way more sense. Yeah, that makes way more sense.
Well, you know, maybe it depends on like the region. You go like, let's go BC for the British Columbia territory, perhaps. Anyways, the bomb's down over on A. And Punchy's holding it quite nicely out here with the Spectre finds 1 and 2. A Nick there for the trade as Hammer will also clean that one up. Various.
One enemy remaining.
CT is going to be Smurfskulls jumping out of heaven to no avail. Various might be able to close them off before the reload. Cannot get it done. Now she cleans them up with the Spectre. They will lose, I think, 2 lives worth of miniature buys out from UBC, but nothing of note, really.
And this reminds me a lot of the first map. This is exactly how Icebox started, with UBC in pretty good control, but continuing to lose 2 or 3 members in these fights. They still were able to get a nice lead, but they just never were able to build up an economy. It was really just after they saw size that they were able to lean on their lead and finish it off. Now they'll have to deal with another round where there's a bonus on the other side, Smurfskulls and the crew able to buy up. The biggest thing is that UBC, they actually go for a bit of a force here. They buy 2 of their own Phantoms, so while not everyone has an assault rifle, as Punchy only has this Ghost right here, they're going to be met with more firepower than they're probably expecting on the side of UBC.
Bomb out by Spawn. They're not really committing Spike just yet, but Maka's getting pretty far up in terms of that A site positioning. We have Yams right on the mouth of A main. They're just going to hold on for now. Not really looking to commit anything. Now we do finally have that Spike moving up. Going to go through short through the hands of the Astra. It does seem that UC Davis is recognizing the signs. They realize that players are gravitating toward A, and it won't be a very hard attack onto the site. But Yam's actually picking up 2. Gonna take some tags out while trying to maintain their positioning. Force out the double heal.
Spike planted.
Won't be able to utilize that for much longer, especially during this retake scenario.
I didn't even know you could double heal like that. I like to use only one at a time, but Punchy not gonna be able to live long to think about that thought. And nowadays a 1v3.
Nick hanging out in the CT cubby, hoping to get that wall bang. Doesn't make a connection now. Might just decide to hold on to the Vandal. Might be the better decision. Gotta check left, and they do actually work out, but there's 2 players swinging off of that connection, and UBC maintains their posture, but does lose quite a bit of cash in the process.
Alright, so this now exactly feels like Icebox, because this is the exact same start that UBC had before. They win the first 3 rounds to take away the bonus. They still don't win them flawlessly. They lose a minimum of 2 players per round. And their economy, as you see, it's a bit fluctuating. Mach might have to settle for a Stinger here, which is a bit surprising, because it does look like they have enough. Maybe that's just a preference. It is a pretty close range weapon. There was a time when the Stinger was really overpowered. They had to nerf it pretty hard, actually, because the range on it was pretty insane with the firing through a scope, but Nick not even gonna get a chance to fire through anything as they are the first to fall.
Ooh, a nice headshot out from Yams. Sheen following up, hanging out on platform. Now they might want to just push through that nebula,
enemy remaining.
maybe not overcommit.
Flawless.
Yams does make that commitment. C16 hoping they were going to pull off something with that, Sheriff. It is not going to happen. However, UBC maintaining their position, do get that nice eco round win over UC Davis as expected, but you know, just to add more change in the pot is a feel-good scenario.
Friendly NPC, after having an amazing map on the scent, not finding the same sort of success. C16 also not finding the same amount of success. Everyone has fallen every round on the side of UC Davis. Best they can do right now is a 0.5 KDA. On the other side, UBC, everyone has enough money. Mox still sticking with this Stinger, which surprised me a bit. We're gonna have to deal with this operator, but Yams just completely destroys it.
And the NPC still hanging out right here at the A-long angle. Let's find that first one to Mock. They're gonna have to try and escape. I don't know if the dismiss is going to allow it. It in fact does. And that team fire is there to make sure that no friendly NPC will not be able to make their escape. Various, however, pushing up as well, hoping to capitalize on a bit of a surprise attack, and they will be able to at first. They had the advantage, but they lost it in a moment with the Yams flip to the head. And both players scrambling to try and cover their losses out over onto A. Smurfsicles, though, with a good peek, a good reaction to Hammer over on mid. Regardless, Spike will go down in this 3v2. The operator is in hand over for Sheen. So if they want to make anything happen in terms of that position over in heaven, it's going to be difficult. But now that they're not going to choose for that, it's going to be a way harder. Nick wins out the duel. Sheen going out for a secondary peek, not wanting to give up too much of a good position. They're going to opt for the Blade Storm. Probably a better decision as they shoot through the smoke, and you have the support of Yams there to back them up. 5-0 as UBC continues their spree.
There are good round wins, and there are questionable round wins, and after coming off a flawless round, that one right there was questionable. Operator at such close range, having to force both duelist ultimates just to win that round when you had a huge lead originally, and then also Hammer trying to take that flank angle when you are the controller, when you're needed to clear out the site with your gravity wells, with your nebulas. Some not great decision making there from UBC, but luckily for them, they can still buy, their economy is still healthy for the most part, and they're just looking as dominant as ever.
Nick with actually a nice use of the Marshall to get an opening pick, but Yams there to make it less important, less effective as they make their way over onto A-long. A-long is definitely a favored position for UBC so far, but maybe it won't be their favorite anymore after those knockback frags.
This is a thrifty round too, but Hammer able to find two. All of a sudden, things are even, and Nick has the distance advantage, but not exactly the firepower that Aldro now is going to let Punchy know that everyone is there, and this is why you need your Astro alive. He's able to put the Nebula down, and now everyone gets out scot-free.
Yeah, actually a nice rotation to ensure that the money is still there. Good plan out for UBC, and now they have plenty of time to get ready for any sort of post-plan scenario. We have that Hunter's Fury at the ready in case they decide to go for the plan. I don't know if they're actually looking for any main contact, but are they willing to risk the use of two ultimates? They have the 2 stars there, one going to pull them away, one from the spike, another one expected to do the same, but now it is all gone. There is the Hunter's Fury. It picks up one. Oh, but the cheese will be there. Wait, they didn't have it. They didn't get it halfway.
Oh, that is disastrous there. I thought they would have been able to win an amazing thrifty round, but you nailed it right on the head. That must have been just like I don't even know the time, but like that must have been so close. I want to say like a 1/10 of a second off from being half, because I thought they had it, and that's a complete win scenario there. If you are Nick, you just kind of wait out the Hunter's Fury. You can get tagged up by it once, but you know that they're probably far away enough where you can just go for the defuse. But because they couldn't get it, like you said, they lose that round. Good news, though, is that They've only given up 6. They haven't given up a guaranteed lead, and they have everything they could ever want for all the guns, all the ultimates.
More mid-centric setup
You are
right now
divided.
at UBC and activate that Cosmic Divide. It'll be interesting to see how they try and take this site while allowing half of it to be blocked off. Alsheen hitting the vertical control, but actually Various, the first one to get that frag. It's going to be out of the Hunter's Fury, but the spike is still down. He does have a positioning that can allow for a good retake if they manage to work for themselves, but I don't know.
Pulling them in.
It's going to be difficult. They have that neural theft. They know exactly where everyone is. They're spraying as hard as they can, trying to get through in that Cosmic Divide, but it isn't.
Last player standing. There they are.
Oh no, they're allowing the defuse to go because they just can't do anything about it. And UC Davis finally manages to get that first round win in all the chaos and confusion.
No.
They're not the only ones confused, because I am as well. The Cosmic Divider reminds me a lot of another ability from an FPS game. It's another wall, I would say. And that wall also is actually like transparent. You can see through it, just blocks damage. This one, no damage, no sound, no vision. You have no idea what you're walking into. And that play reminded me a lot of what UC Davis did previously on Icebox when they just put down that Sage wall and just went for the defuse. It's the exact same play, different ability to get it done, but it's executed well. And if UC Davis can continue to make plays like that, they can find a way back into the series once more.
Ooh, okay, maybe not the best move for them at that point, but Friendly NPC really picks it up and does well to hold on that little cubby. Picking up 2. Now, what originally was a good move out for UBC just became an even fight.
Well, Reyna duel, but they're gonna also have the rotation for them. Maybe no, actually, Friendly NPC just able to get out.
Player standing.
Seems like UC Davis's win condition is just let NPC crack, but now they have lost them. They have lost Surfsicles, and UBC now guaranteed a lead, and they get the plant. All things are good for them. This does feel exactly like Icebox for the most part.
Needed. Thanks.
Well, I mean, this is just a really, really tough scenario for UC Davis. They don't have too much cash. They're running NPC on the Sheriff despite a good performance coming out of them from the last round. I mean, then again, they did line up for the player, but still, 2 frags are much better than 1.
That is true. 2 frags are indeed better than 1.
But I mean, like you said earlier, even if you are managing to frag out, if you can't have a secure spike plan, or you can't play an objective too well, the frags don't really matter.
It's also true, and I think the biggest thing is that UC Davis Gold, they are finding a few kills here and there, but it's not the same sort of success they had in Icebox. They were losing a lot of rounds, but they were still able to get a lot of kills. This time, it's been a lot more solid for UBC to keep people alive.
D16 going out for that swing after spotting Yemi, but
remaining.
it's not going to be good. This is just a onslaught over onto the ace side, and Nigga's just going to decide, I'll get you next.
Yeah, GG go next. Nick seems to be the lone soldier quite a bit, I've noticed. They could deny the flawless from UBC. That would be a win in its own right, as right now, Mach about to go toe-to-toe with them. Can't get it done, it's a headshot. And if you're UBC, you're thinking, wow, now Ascent, did it even happen? Does it even matter? Because they are just running away with this early on in double digits. Very possible, in fact, they could be in a scenario where they only really need to win the pistol round, and then one more round after that to take the series home.
Very, very difficult scenario out here for UC Davis. Conversely, UBC's having a blast right now. Previously, had a very fantastic player, or a star player who we've seen make a lot of great plays. Mach, not even needing to do that much. I mean, when you're defensive on attack, you aren't really afforded a great opportunity to be a big-time fragger, but even so, when someone who had such a big impact on the previous map isn't really doing too much and still finding success, you know that is a balance.
Absolutely. Sometimes it's the impact plays. My friends like the joke. It might not be on the kill board, but it can still be a huge ability usage or a call out that can help get it done. And looks like UBC are going to be getting into that once more.
Headshot.
C16 somehow in the attacker spawn is able to find that classic kill and pick up a vandal for themselves, but they won't be able to hold on to it for too long as Yams lets them drop. They still get that plant money as well, so they are just loaded at this point.
The fact that everyone already has a full buy for next round except for Hemmer, actually, is probably going to have to spend. Well, no, Hemmer, I mean, if you're UBC, you're probably thinking, you know, why don't we just have someone else buy their gun and then they can buy a full armor? Because really, the name of the game is not having the most credits. It's about making sure that everyone can afford. So, you know, if you're the rich, trickle-down economics. It actually works in this one scenario. Let's not get too political, though. UC Davis now, they're going to take another timeout. They're the only team that has taken a tactical timeout in this series, and last time, it got the job done on Ascent, helped them roar back to life, win that overtime scenario. But on Icebox, they did the same thing, and it was just a little bit too late. That was a much closer score than this is currently.
Yeah, without a doubt. This is a rough score to look at this point. If UBC is able to just pull off the next round and find themselves in an 11-1 scenario, I have no idea how UDC or UCD would be able to come out of this one.
See how both these teams come out of halftime. A lot of the time I've been trying to find the good of UC Davis, and one thing is C16 does have the operator back in their hands. Looks pretty dang good overall of it whenever they get the chance. Their ult economy, not there. Their overall economy, not there. It's just, they have only been able to win one round, and because of that, it's every other round they can buy, and most of those rounds where they can buy, they still cannot find the round win.
With Yop going to be baited into firing, and now it has been revealed. Now 16 jumping away, trying to find a different positioning, but as they move into the position, it will be Moth who puts a couple of rounds into it, but Nick, the first one to open up this fight. Yams is pushed way too far, or not really too far into Garage, but isn't able to check that corner efficiently.
One down.
Now Hemmer and Mock are making their way onto C-site. That rotation coming out from Nick is going to be the detriment, although they are able to provide cover for the players on C. They turn their back onto Garage and allow that position to be exploited, but jumping around. Oh shit, is just making a mess. Causing a distraction for Smurfsicles. Now it's all up to Various to try and somehow recover that site, but it will not be possible. UBC 10-1 right now against UC Davis.
This is the best lead they've had the entirety of the series. They could be at an 11-1 scenario and all is finished up, and it's looking very likely. We saw some crazy thrifty round trades at the end of Ascent, but it's really been whoever has the better guns is winning this out, except for that one bonus round earlier on that UBC was able to take away. C Davis, they can't go for the full buy. You're going to have to commit to Spectres, Classics, and Sheriffs. Oh my. Going into an Odin from Mach. 2 Odins! Oh my goodness! Right now, UBC, they are just bringing the pain.
Well, if you got it, and they certainly got it, sending out the Odins and just putting out all the pressure. I don't know if anyone's going to be able to swing into that one, and they're hoping to be able to find something, catch somebody off guard, but it won't be Hammer, that's for sure. Now, Maki just running out with the Odin. No respect for the process, collegiate or esports. Oh no!
Oh no, indeed. You know, sometimes you can respect your opponents and just have a little bit of disrespect, you know? I like to say disrespect your surroundings from a day to remember. Sometimes, you know, you can appreciate what they can do, but at the same time, you can't take them too seriously, because if you give them too much respect, then you're going to play not the style that you want to. You want to play like you are the better team. You know, UBC have been playing like the better team in this map, but it is even. When all things are said and done, at least for the time being, but this point will come down. They have the Cosmic Divide, and they have the this Fury.
You're a Day to Remember fan. Well, you know, quoting that song, second sucks. Well, not even making it past quarterfinals sucks even worse. But let's see if UC Davis is going to allow that to be a possibility as they're committing multiple ultimates. It's going to be the neural theft, as they do realize they're playing out for the Hunter's Fury. Punchy manages to get that frag with the ultimate. But now, Smurfsicles might have the opportunity to try and make something happen, but they know for a fact that that peak will come through Punchy has the opportunity for that shot. They will take it 11-1 in the first half. UBC, only 2 rounds.
Switching sides.
Semifinals.
Well, we got a little bit of time to catch our breath here. I want to give you an update on the rest of the playoff bracket, how it's shaken up from the results we have. Winthrop 2-0ing the Grid Changers, and on the other side, Converse University taking it to over undecided. Grid Crusaders, excuse me, not Changers. So we already have 2 matches decided. This one right now, 2 rounds away from being decided itself. UC Davis, they had a hell of a comeback on Ascent, but they're going to need to move everything. Mountains, water, rain, fire, every element is going to need to come together. They're going to have an Avatar-like appearance right now. Because right now, all 4 elements are working against them.
You know, just when UC Davis needed a performance from Ascent, it vanished. And now we're having them in such a dire position, only 2 rounds away from defeat. It's such a rough disparity of rounds right now. C16 moving out from Garage, but will be taken down by Hammer, who's going to activate the gravity well and trap a few other players inside. And just like that, all of those Smurfsicles has done good before on the pistol round by themselves, and now they're doing well again. A 1v1, 58 health left for this player. UBC's last hope, Al Sheen, full health.
This is like a game of chicken right now. Neither of them know that the other is on the other side, but they're still playing it like they do, just waiting for someone else to make a movement. Their UBC getting a bit too aggressive, considering that both the players that peaked only had about 50 health left. That's really one good play shot from the Ghost will get you down. So they didn't play it patiently enough. One of the few times where they really misplayed the tempo. It is a 1v1.
30 seconds left.
The spike is down, so Smurfsicles has a free alley as this Jet is just continuing to hold the same angle.
The second that spike plant is initiated, they'll have all the information they need. And I don't know if Smurfsicles is too confident on the positioning of that last player, but it won't matter if they're going to commit for a default plant. Yeah, Smurfsicles, the spike. No. That spike down, and no! Goes for the peek. How Shine is there waiting for the 1-tap.
Oh, they played that so patiently. You can tell just with the mouse. Maybe they're like, yep, I did that. Yep, it was me. I did it, team. I did it. I secured it. Now they are 1 round away from finishing off this series, a series that could have been finished up on Ascent if it wasn't for the amazing play from UC Davis. Now they're gonna need a miracle. It's not over until it's over, but this is a force buy. They have to force here. There's just no way you cannot buy everything that's affordable to you. We're going to see probably a bunch of Spectres come out here, maybe some Sheriffs as well. This is go big or go home.
They have no choice but to win at this point. UC Davis pulling out all that they can possibly bring to the fight, and they're bringing it over to A, sending it out with various over on. That Owl drone doesn't get any information, but it brings out the utility of that trap wire. C16 hanging out on the mouth of A main. They're going to back it up. Hiding in the corner of long. It's going to be Yams trying to push up, but C16 comes out on top. They will take some damage for it. And now they're just a distraction at this point because Punchy may not realize the players are trying to make their way through Garage. Such perfect timing. They don't decide to commit at that moment when Punchy had their back to double doors. Now, finally, there will be a commitment. Nick may take a peek, may look through and see what there is inside, but at this point, everyone is holding still.
The recon bolt coming in. Hammer just barely able to avoid it. The spike, it was mid, but it looks like A is going to be their prime destination. The 16 is about to wake up in the world apart. I thought they might get the dash up, and no, dash is into the wall for 1-for-1 straight. This round is very equal.
30 seconds
Hammer
left.
gonna take away that equality for the kills. It's a 3v2.
Mox sending out that cam. Doesn't get too much utility out of it because they're actually going to rotate. Oh, maybe not. Clock still holding on, has the information, gonna jump around the other side of the site, and now they're playing a
10
bit of a
seconds left.
ring around the rosy
One
just for that
enemy
information.
remaining.
But Mock
Spike
takes
down
out
A.
Various, and now there's only 5 seconds left, 4 seconds, and it is impossible for UC
Defenders
Davis
win.
to come out of University of British Columbia, has ensured that their season has not ended, and they will stay alive in this tournament and continue on to the semifinals.
And second seed versus third seed, that's really a difference of one regular season matchup, but still, you got to think UC Davis coming in felt probably pretty favorable about this matchup. I mean, only losing one game throughout the series, only losing 2 games through the last 2 splits. But here in playoffs, they cannot reach the same mountain they had previously. 2 finals in a row, they could not reach a third. Their journey comes to an end here today, and UBC. Here's the thing is, like, they were a complete shock to us. We hadn't seen them anywhere else. We hadn't seen them on stream at all this season, but they're not going to be a surprise anymore. They could completely be a dark horse going to this tournament, but those surprises are gone now. Every team is going to have them on their radar after a performance like this.
Oh, of course, especially going into this final map, it was a decimation of UC Davis. Not one that we had seen in the previous matches, not one that I expected after Ascent, where it was such an amazing comeback out from UC Davis. They came back through overtime and won it in an amazing fashion, to be honest. And for them to fall so flat on their faces into the final map, it's pretty shocking.
Yeah, I got a question. I got to think it's a momentum thing, is my personal opinion. It seems like Ascend was the map where they were able to trade the most, and because of that, they had at least a little bit of something going where they could buy not just every other round. They were able to find some great round wins that were thrifty. They were on their A game for that map. They could just not get to that same, I would say, gear for Icebox or for Haven. I mean, Haven especially, that was a bit of a shell shock affair, especially after coming off of that second map where they were able to bring it back so close. Just the break sometimes, even though our break was only about 2-3 minutes, it can just completely disappear. Then you got to stay warm. You got to stay focused. You can't drop your eye from the ball for a moment, and there the ball was dropped completely on the ground. But the biggest thing I'll say about UC Davis is that I have followed them for a long time through a multitude of leagues. This is an amazing team, and they didn't have the performance they wanted here today, but I don't think this is the end of the road. I think this roster still is very strong. I just think the competition got a lot stronger for them the last 2 seasons. The spring split, they're at the top of the mountain. Now they've had a lot more contenders in their way.
Well, it's going to be a lot more difficult to maintain your position as a top contender when you have a constant flow of new kids on the block. And speaking of those new kids on the block, University of British Columbia will continue their run for the tournament next week during the semifinals. You are not going to want to miss this matchup and the rest of this season. It is going to be very intense, and I'm happy to just be a part of it and check out all the action. Of course, I've been Los. This is Jag. Thank you to all the viewers out there. Thank you to all the teams who have joined us today. KC observing, Hyper with the production. Until then, stay hungry for some awesome UPL Valorant action. We will catch you on the next one. Thank you and good night.